I'm the Vice President of the AppExchange at SalesForce.com. I've worked there for 6 years. I've run the AppExchange that entire time. It's been in existence for 7 years. And what I'm going to talk to you guys about is connected apps and what that's looking like in our customer base and what we're seeing as app trends around the AppExchange. So before I start, Salesforce is a publicly traded company. Anything I say today may have some forward-looking statements. Please don't make any investment decisions based on anything I say. You can go to our website to read more about this at www.salesforce.com. If I don't say that, then the lawyers come after me and I get in all kinds of trouble. So that's done. Now we can get to talking. So I don't know how familiar all of you are with Salesforce.com, but we essentially have had a mission for the last 14 years, and that's basically to bring cloud computing into the enterprise and to really normalize the notion of putting your enterprise data up into the cloud and feeling safe and secure in doing that. So that's kind of our mission. We've been noted in Forbes as the most innovative company 3 years in a row. Our CEO is a fairly spectacular person who has an amazing amount of presence and does a good job of evangelizing what we're trying to do. And again, our focus is really around helping companies understand that creating an integrated app strategy is the way to go. It's no longer the world of, let me buy one huge software vendor and try to push them into making them push their solution into making it do what my organization needs. But instead, let me buy a good base or a good platform and then figure out what the right apps are that I need across my organization to have people work at their most productive, while I still, as a management team, can see the information in a consolidated fashion that allows me to make the right business decisions. So, when we think about the enterprise app revolution, which is kind of how we've started talking about it, every 10 years or so, we've seen a fairly significant shift in computing. And what we believe we're in right now is around the social and mobile revolution. People no longer will take applications that are stodgy and ugly. Facebook has taught us all that it's much easier to work in a feed. People want to do their personal life in a feed. They want to do their business life in a feed. Also, I have two, and God only knows how many iPads. We all live on devices, right? I think I looked at mine 500 times yesterday between flying up here and not. So being able to create, much to what David was talking about earlier, being able to create applications that work on all devices is just a critical part of the game now. So thinking through how you build apps and think about apps with that notion of having it be social as well as having it be mobile. And that's really the crux of what I'm going to talk about, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but I'll give you guys a little bit more information on us. So our mission, Salesforce's mission, is to help our customers become customer companies. So what does that mean? That means that every company, regardless of what they build or do, should be focused on their customer and should be thinking about how they can make their customer more successful. Their focus should be on the customer. Behind every app, there's a human. You have to think about how that human's going to consume that information and do better with it. That's really the way we think about things. So the other thing that we've come to understand is in order to truly help people evolve to be customer focused and be customer companies, we need to give them the tools to create an environment that works for not only their employees and their partners, but also their customers. So this idea that if I am in finance, I may want to use a system that is much more numbers-based in order to do my work, whereby if I'm in sales, that information needs to feed me in finance, but I need a much easier, faster interface on the sales side so that I can enter information about what's going on. That's kind of this idea. And the AppExchange is really the catalyst for this inside of Salesforce because we have a number of apps up there, which I'll get into, that help our customers think about ways that they can better serve their customers. That's really the way we think about the whole equation. So let's talk about the AppExchange. This is my baby. So as I said, we've been around for 7 years as an AppExchange. We were actually the first app marketplace in the world. No one knows that. App Store came a year. We owned the App Store trademark. App Store came a year afterwards, and Mark Benioff gave the trademark to Steve Jobs. Because, well, I mean, he's Steve Jobs, and no one ever wanted, everyone likes Steve Jobs. So we've been around for a long time. We had this idea a while ago. I will admit, being first is great. The one thing about being first is you learn a lot of lessons, and other people get to benefit from what you've learned. So that's definitely been part of the equation as well. We have over 1,900 applications up on the AppExchange, soon to be 2,000. We have over 1.9 million lifetime installs on the AppExchange. And that's about to be 2 million. That's an important thing because an install in our world is not the same as going to App Store and getting Candy Crush to use on your phone. An install in our world can be a one-to-one install, but most likely it's an install down that could be rolled out to 10,000, 100,000, 50,000, a number of people inside an organization that are going to leverage this application. And this 800 million revenue number, in my opinion, it's too low. That's the amount of money we've passed to partners that are on the AppExchange that are selling their applications into our customer base and beyond. So the model is really working very well, and I love this stat at the bottom. We have deep penetration. Pretty much, we've done a good job over the last 7 years of training our customers that if they're looking for something in addition to the core applications we provide as Salesforce, they should go here to find it. And we have all of our partners have integrations to some degree, either intense or lightweight, but they work with our rest of our products and our platform, which makes it much easier for our customers to digest it. This is interesting, and I'm only sharing this, and then I'll talk about what I'm really here to talk about. But when I started this, it was very much, our core kind of competency as a company in the past has been CRM or Salesforce automation. Still, we have that, and we cherish that, but we've really moved in the last couple of years more into being a platform company. So when I first started this thing, the AppExchange, it was definitely a CRM add-on marketplace. But what's happened in the last 6 years is a pretty significant shift in what we're seeing go up there. Certainly, we still have CRM add-ons and whatnot, but we've seen a diversity of applications coming up to help fill multiple business needs, which I think is important to you as ISVs to consider. I don't know if any of you leverage the AppExchange or leverage Salesforce, but we have over 100,000 customers. Pretty much everyone uses Salesforce in some capacity. I was at my kids' camp the other day checking them in, and they're checking them in on Salesforce. And I was like, that's funny, right? And I was at the dry cleaner. They're checking me out on Salesforce. It really does work in multiple environments. All my friends that are in nonprofits use it. It works in multiple environments. So there is a big opportunity for you to figure out an integration layer into us or to potentially leverage the AppExchange to help sell into our base if that's something that works with the products you've built. But this slide is interesting because it does show that things are changing on the marketplace. It's not just a CRM add-on marketplace. We have full-blown ERP applications. We have lightweight, integrations. We have full-blown analytic packs. We have tons of stuff out there that is related to Salesforce or next to Salesforce. But in lots of cases, we have people that are just leveraging our platform and selling independently into their own customer base without any mention of Salesforce. So this is an opportunity for you to consider. This is my favorite slide. This is the fun stuff, right? So I watch this thing like a hawk because it's my full-time job. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I look at what's on the site. I look at what's happening. What started happening is applications that have nothing to do with what we do or who we think of our core customer as being started popping up. This scuba shop one's great. The guy's fabulous. He spends most of his time underwater, but he runs a series of scuba shops in Mexico and whatnot. And he realized how he was having trouble with inventory and the tanks and the vests and the masks and everything organized. So he went on Salesforce platform, built this application to run scuba shops, and it's pretty much being deployed across the world in all these different scuba shops. Now, this is not our target customer. No, we sell to like Coke and, all huge insurance companies. So this kind of stuff really is fabulous. The traffic light thing is definitely like an Internet of Things type of scenario where we're using devices and they're leveraging our platform to manage traffic lights and those like don't drink and drive signs and all that stuff across some different places to change the stuff. I bring this up only because it shows that I think sometimes when people think about Salesforce, they think, oh, that's like CRM, big company, and it's not anymore. Certainly that's a part of our core DNA that we love, but we've seen people extending what they can do with our platform far beyond that. And as ISVs, as people that are innovating and looking for new ways to bring technology to market, our platform might be something to consider. Okay, that's enough about Salesforce. Let's talk a little bit about what I came here to talk to you guys about. So one of the benefits of being a company like us is we have a very loud and active customer base, which tell us what they want all the time. And what we started realizing at the end of last year was there was really a new set of requirements in enterprise that people were looking for around applications. It used to just be, you solve a business need, you have a relatively nice UI, you have some decent analytics, it works, it's supported, off you go. But what started happening, I think a lot of it has to do also with what happened on the consumer side. Applications just got so much better with App Store, and on the consumer side, the UI was fun. You wanted to play with it. My 5-year-old could play with it. My 75-year-old father could play with it. It bridged the gap across this notion where you have to be a programmer to know how to use a database. Certainly in most instances you still do, but the notion that the UI is easier and friendly and that generally apps are easier to use was a big thing we started seeing. So we thought about it quite a bit and we focused it around these 6 core elements. And if I dig deeper into that, Your app has to collaborate. I mean, you can figure out what that means depending on the business problem you're solving. But if your application isn't collaborative, if it doesn't bring people in and make people interact with each other, it just doesn't hit as hard. This notion of a social UI or social UX, Candy Crush, I always go back to this because I'm desperately addicted to this game, but I can't stop playing it. And not only can, even when I get tired because I can't pass a level and I'm annoyed with it, I can't stop playing it because one of my friends will start pinging me, why aren't you playing, right? Like, we're all in it together. I mean, it's a strange thing to do, but it becomes a game. It becomes a part of the fiber of your normal life. When I'm on the BART train going home, I'm playing Candy Crush and, competing with my friends from college who I haven't seen in 10 years. But this idea that your application brings other people together and makes them interact in a new way, it's hard to do, but if you can figure out kind of where you put the social feed or where you put the social aspects into your application, it will explode more, especially in enterprise too, we're seeing. Network effects is related to social UX, but if you can't get people using it, it won't happen. We have an application we built, it's actually more of a platform called Chatter, which is essentially our social collaboration platform. And once we introduced that into our core applications, the level of engagement across our customer base went up almost threefold. Because all of a sudden everyone felt like they could get more of a sense of what was, it wasn't just I'm on an opportunity record as a salesperson putting my forecast in. All of a sudden everyone was involved. The procurement team was involved. The HR teams were, do we need to hire a new salesperson or do you need more help? Like it kind of brought the whole notion of being a team sport together, which is an interesting piece. David talked about mobility. I mean, I think we all know this. Everyone's got one or more of these devices on them at all times. If your application can't, people want to approve timesheets from their kid's soccer game. I do. I hide it so he doesn't see me, but I'm down there approving expense reports because that's stuff I don't want to think about. I have so much other stuff to do. I want to be able to do certain easy tasks in a social environment where I'm like, okay, they're 6. They never score any goals. It gets really boring after a while. I'm like, okay, so all right, I'll approve expense reports quickly. No one sees it, and off I go. That's just something I don't have to think about. Interoperability. So this is hard. This is where having the right platform comes into play. We're lucky because we have a platform and we have a lot of ISVs that have built applications that integrate with our platform. Most notably here, you want things to move around. You want workflows to work across apps. You want all of that. But really, when I think about this, it's the data, right? Because all of these applications live to give you data, to help you make better decisions, right? So if all the applications in an environment are spewing out different data, it's very difficult to say, that's an apple and this is an apple, right? One's an apple, one's a banana, one's an orange, and some poor sucker in strategy or finance is trying to figure out how to make all these numbers look like something that's similar. If you have the interoperability via a platform or via some other type of thing, you have the ability to run analytics across everything in a uniform way and make smarter business decisions. Innovation, clearly. Scuba Guy was innovative, right? He had a problem. He didn't want to deal with it. He wanted to go diving. He went on our platform. He coded it declaratively. He's not a coder. He's not a developer. We have a whole declarative aspect to our platform. He managed to figure out how to do it in a declarative fashion. I think he built it in like a month and a half while still going underwater constantly because it sounds like that's where he spends most of his time. And then now he has a fairly thriving business. This is another crazy story, but I'll tell it to you. I grew up with a kid. And when I started at SalesForce, said, I think I'm going to build something on Salesforce platform. I say, yeah, build it. It's good, whatever. He built an application to manage large veterinary clinics, like clinics that take care of horses and cows, not like dog, cat, gerbil, like the big animals, which is apparently, I don't know anything about this, but it's a much different business. He built it on our platform. He's never hired anyone. He makes $300,000 a year. He works 10 hours a week, and he never lets me use his name because he doesn't want any of his customers to know it's just him. Right? I mean, you can choose to live whatever life you want, but that one doesn't sound so bad to me. Right? I work 100 hours a week. That sounds better. But just that idea that you're pushing the edge and you're innovating and you're helping people think about things in different ways. So I'm going to run you through, these are examples of our ISVs. And I'll tell you a little bit about the ISV as well, because I think it's relevant to you guys. Bracket Labs is 4 people. Started as 2 consultants that were implementing Salesforce and were desperately tired of being on the road. They sat down in their garage in Colorado and said, we can do better. What if we built a really good project management application? They went from napkin sketch to first customer in 4 months. And basically what they did in the easiest way is they built an incredibly rich UI with a drag and drop project management features. And the funny thing is, the main thing that differentiated them, they allowed individuals to color code the tasks and the information in the project management application for their own, right? They didn't set the color coding. It was up to the end user that was using it to do that. For some reason, this just led to crazy, crazy, crazy adoption. They sold Kelly Services. They sold NBC Universal. And this is a two-person shop at the time. Part of the reason they're allowed to do that is also because they're built on our platform. So NBC Universal, who is one of our customers, oh, you're built on Salesforce. Okay, we trust that you have trust, you have reliability, you have all these things. But really what got them in there was the app, and then it just spread like wildfire, and it's used all over the place now. But they did this idea where they thought we're going to figure out a way to suck more people into our application by making it very collaborative and giving project managers control over things that they didn't have control over. The color coding thing completely befuddles me. It does not seem like it's that big a deal, but for some reason that's the thing that's allowed them to outsell other project management vendors on the AppExchange significantly. So that kind of twinkles on that innovation thing, but just one different idea on an old problem can lead to, God only knows what, but a lot of interesting success in some instances. Social UX. So I'm using one of our products in this example, only because I hate performance reviews. I have over 100 people that work for me in some capacity or another, and I either need to write or approve them, and it takes way too much time. So we bought this product and we built it, but what really did end up happening is I don't hate performance reviews anymore. I can give people badges inside this application that make them feel good. Writing performance reviews is much easier because it's they ask me the questions I'm supposed to answer as opposed to me being like, oh God, what did they do last year? Okay, let me think. Okay, they did this, they did that. It's pushed to me, and it's also all of the information about the projects that are running stays in the system. I bring this up as just a way to think about it. Like, this is a social UX. This is a scenario where my employees are giving each other badges. They're giving me badges, which I always think is funny, but that there's this idea that we're all kind of recognizing each other inside the UX together, and that makes the whole thing richer. And then when you do sit down as a manager to write a performance review, there's a plethora of information in there that I can just take advantage of because it's already kind of stored. Oh, this person did great, or some negative information gets in there too. You really didn't do a good job on this project. That's why you're not getting X or Y. But it facilitates the process versus me going back in my email and trying to look at my calendar and remember everything everyone delivered in the last year. Network effects. So Taz is a ISV of ours. They focus very much on improving the sales cycle. So making the sales cycle more dependable and more effective and more efficient, kind of running everyone through a particular thing. By doing this, they manage to engage different departments in the sales cycle. So salesperson's out there, they're selling, but at a certain point they need legal, they need finance, they need pricing approvals, they need their boss to know, they need the rest of their sales team to know what kind of a number they're bringing in. This TAS kind of is a process by which the other people get involved in the sales cycle in a very interesting and collaborative way. We, as Salesforce, as an SFA tool, we always had opportunities, and certainly people worked them and whatnot, but now an opportunity has become a very rich and collaborative object inside of our instance, because it's not just the salesperson that owns the opportunity. There are clear steps where other people need to engage and move the process forward. So that's kind of that idea of network effects. You bring other people into your work in a way that streamlines it. Now legal knows, okay, these contracts are coming in the next week, so I need to consider the fact that I'm going to have some big things I need to work on. It just lets people prepare better because everyone's kind of has the same information and is involved in the same thing. I mean, we can't talk about this enough. I'll just tell you about this app because it's cool. This is ServiceMax. Essentially, they are a field service app. So every time a cable guy comes out to your house and fixes the cable, or something's wrong with something and someone comes out to look at it, these guys are deployed using this software. So they have iPads and they have this software on it, and they get to see, okay, what's next? I need to go to Layla's house and fix her DirecTV. I need to go here and do this. And this is a way for them to tell, for home base to know where all these people are, for them also to report back, oh, I don't have this particular part to fix Layla's thing, so let me order it, and then someone will come back in 2 days and fix it. But in general, all of their sales, all of their guys before were like, pads of paper on a clipboard and coffee spilled on it and driving around in trucks, and they were wondering like how long a lunch is this guy taking, why, I mean, it's whatever, these were their concerns. But with this now, I don't know how much the drivers love it, but they know where their people are at all times. They know how long they're taking on a job. They know how long they're taking for lunch. They know if they fixed the problem or didn't immediately. So instead of, the DirecTV guy coming out and saying, oh yeah, I don't have the right box, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Now with ServiceMax, they can go, okay, we don't have the right thing, but we'll be back in 2 days because it's already ordered and it's going to arrive at your house, and then we've already scheduled your next appointment during this range, and we'll be there to fix it. It improves the customer experience. Back to that notion that we're all trying to make our customers happy. Customers have all the power. They always did, but they didn't have a voice. Now with social media, game off, right? Because Twitter, all that stuff, they can destroy you in a heartbeat. A nanny took down Bank of America. How much money did she make, poor thing? Probably like $200 a week. She made Bank of America look ridiculous because they had a bad experience for her, and everyone paid attention to it. So you have to pay attention to your customer. You have to be thinking about your customer. Solutions like this help people do a better job of that. Interoperability. So Zapier's a really cool company. They do a lot of interesting things to make it easier for people to interact and move data around, and kind of back to that thing I was discussing earlier where the data is really the key. We use these apps to be more productive, but ultimately a company buys these apps because they're looking for a way to improve efficiencies or make better strategic decisions. So, Zapier is a good example, but just this idea that you have to have things in a way that people can use them in a centralized fashion. This also brings to things like, it's great if you have one login, if you have one identity across multiple products. This is a big problem for people. It's great if you can make it easy for people to use your stuff. The harder you make it, I liked what David said about the fingers, and the stylus. Like, that fat finger problem is a real one, and the people that are solving and thinking about that are the ones that are going to actually make it, because I agree with him. We won't be on laptops in 10 years. We just won't. We'll be on something else. It probably doesn't even exist yet what we'll be on, but you got to think about the experience. You got to think about how the end user is doing things. I've been doing this for a while. And before Salesforce, I worked at a company that built really detailed project management software. And we cared about the UI somewhat. But more we cared about running very intricate Monte Carlo simplifications across everything and doing all this incredible stuff. Now that whole app is basically being reworked because the UI is so painful. And everyone, this is construction project management. Everyone's out in the field. So we had to, I don't work there anymore clearly, but they had to basically reface the whole UI to make it so that people could use it. You're lucky, you're innovators, you're on the cutting edge of this, but you really do have to think about how this all works together to be successful. And then innovation, and you're all innovators. Clearly you wouldn't be here if you didn't have good ideas that you were actually gutsy enough to go out and pursue. I, on the other hand, have many good ideas, but I'm way too scared to do anything other than work at a big company. But this is a cool app. This is an app built by a company called Cloud Apps out of London. It's essentially a corporate sustainability app. So I'll give you an example of how it's used. One of our customers is a company called Lush. They make fresh cosmetics. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of them, but they have processing plants and they create bath salts and whatever it is they're doing. And they realized that they were not paying attention very much to like the green aspects of how they were producing things. They were doing it, but they wanted to do a better job of trying to force the whole company to be more environmentally responsible. They implemented Cloud Apps, and it's essentially a game. It's gamification of an important topic, but it's a game to help people do a better job at trying to be more green in their manufacturing process. And their improvements were pretty staggering, what they saw by using this. But this is an innovative way to think about a complicated problem. And gamification across the board is a good idea. We see that in Salesforce too. The more fun you can make this, the more likely people are to do it and be more productive in doing it. A bit of a ridiculous plug, but yes, we are a good platform for doing this. I'm assuming most of you already have a platform or are using it. That doesn't mean you can't use parts of ours too, or you can't think about what we're doing. The AppExchange is a very good channel. We've trained over 100,000 huge companies to go there and look if they have a problem. And it's not a bad idea for you to consider potentially going up on there and doing that too. I went really fast. I'm kind of done. Sorry. Do you guys have questions? Anything I say? Oh, good, bravo.
Yeah, how long are you going to be here at the conference?
I am so sorry to tell you that I am on a flight at noon out of here, but I'll give you my email. It's really lseka@salesforce.com, and we can hook up that way. Unfortunately, I have a little drama that I have to get back for, but yeah, I'm happy to talk to you guys about this. I built this. I built our ISV partner program as well, so I know the intricacies of how this works, and I'm happy to talk to you about it.
How's the monetization model work as it flows through you?
Sure. So we have two. So this is our platform, right? And essentially we kind of have two flavors of how you can be a partner with us. One is what we call OEM, which essentially means you are carrying a full Force.com license every time you sell. So we're your battery. And you've built in, and you know, you all are at varying states of build, you're probably far done, but we're your battery. So every time you sell your application, a license of our stuff goes with you. The revenue share on that is 25% net revenue. And we have a secondary partnership model as well. Let's say you've already built the bulk of your product on a platform, but you want to do stuff with us. You want to integrate, do some lightweight stuff. We have a set of services. Over the last 14 years, we figured out what it takes to run applications in the cloud. You know, by hook or by crook, we went through it all, and we kind of maximized the best way to do that. So getting access to all those services, as well as getting access to the AppExchange, having alignment across our sales team on the direct side, and kind of fosters all of that. That model is 15% net revenue. And with that, you have access to our free trial infrastructure, push upgrade infrastructure, our support console so you can log in as the AppExchange. You have an account executive. And we do alignment things across our sales team so that they're encouraged and incented to help push you in.
Your share is 15-25 or our share?
Ours.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We really are, you know, we kind of have a different take on partnership than a lot of big companies do. And that's partially because of what we're trying to do. Our general motto is we don't succeed unless you do. So we don't take a dime until you make a dime, right? And once you make it, we only take 15% of that dime. And we use that money effectively to push it back into the program. There are a lot of ways we can make it easier for your products to get more high-level visibility. Like, for example, if you go back to Bracket Labs, you know, these were just two people, and what they managed to do by joining the program and building a great app and thinking about all these different notions of what makes a connected app, they came in and then they started selling in our base. Now, I'm sure you can imagine the NBC Universal rep is, you know, he's pretty serious about that account. So when they came in, it wasn't a problem because he felt confident bringing them in, given that they were built on our platform. They'd been through, you know, we take partners through a fairly rigorous technical review. You know, we look at your application, we talk to you. If you've already built it, we look at it. If you're thinking about it, we talk to you about the architecture. We try to guide you because we clearly know our platform better than anyone, and we know our customers fairly well. We try to help you. That's kind of the first stage. And then you move into contract, and then once your application is built, you go through a second technical evaluation, which is really focused around security. At Salesforce, security is our number one value. It's that nothing matters as much as that, and we won't ever put any of our customer data at risk. We're very, very, very serious about that. In fact, we work with Congress to set the security standards on cloud computing quite a bit with lobbyists. This is a big, big deal for us. So that security review is something you do before you're allowed to go up on the AppExchange. And the general premise of that review is we follow the data. So if data moves into your application, how does it move in? Where does it move out? Is there any moment where it can be compromised? And if it, you know, and often, you know, most people don't pass on the first time, let me put it that way. But we ask you to fix it, we help you figure out how to fix it, and then we take you up. It's a true partnership.
Where do we find more information on the web? I'm on your site, and there's a bunch of stuff that's not obvious where to go.
Yeah, so you can go to www.salesforce.com/partners, or in the community part on our homepage, there's one that says partners, and you can drop in from there. It's slightly hidden, I will admit that.
What was your email?
lseka@salesforce.com. I mean, I know you guys are probably well down the path, but when I tell you we are a good person to partner with as an ISV, I can say that with a lot of confidence. Namely because I built the program, but also because, you know, we see this as a critical component to our future as a company. Our customers we can't build everything they need. We just can't. This is not feasible. We have scuba shops and we have Coca-Cola. Like, that's a lot of need in there. We don't want to build it all. I was talking to our co-founder who also runs our technology team the other day, and he was like, I don't want to build all this. So you better find people that can build stuff to fill these places where people need things. So we look to the AppExchange, we look to our ISV partners to help do that innovation, and it's working, you know. Pandora is a great example. They're a good customer of ours. They made a mandate when they were starting out that they didn't want any servers, and their IT team was like, we don't want to maintain anything. Everything's going to be in the cloud. So we worked with them, and they have, I think, 25 different AppExchange applications, and they're running on Salesforce, and they don't have any servers. They don't have anything. Everything runs on us, for lack of a different way of thinking about it. But they're thrilled. You know, every time something new comes out on the AppExchange, their CFO or their CTO calls me, and he's like, ooh, what's this one? I'm like, you know, there are a lot of apps up there. I don't know every one, but they are that cutting edge. They're paying that much attention.
What about the IP rights?
IP rights. So you own your own IP. I mean, we own our IP. You own your IP. What you innovate with on top of the platform, you own. We don't own it. We own our core platform, but whatever you build on top is yours. We don't. That's not our game. But in most cases, it doesn't work without our stuff, so we're mutually, you know, we're married in that scenario. We're bosom buddies. We go down together, but we don't own your IP. It's not what we do. Other questions? Did I mesmerize you with my Salesforce lore? It's a good company. It's not CRM. It's not just for salespeople. I've been there 6 years, and I never do anything with CRM. Or SFA, nothing. I only build on the platform. I only think about the platform. The entire AppExchange is built on the platform. Now I'm going to show off because I have extra time. Hold on. So you're all builders. This is my baby. So this is the AppExchange. Let me explain it a little bit to you guys. So it is organized in a way, it's curated. We have to curate it because there are too many apps. All of the big tiles on the site are curated. All of the little tiles are based on algorithmic results around most popular. I built an incredibly complicated popularity algorithm, which I can't tell anyone about or I have to kill you, but it basically takes into account everything that goes on the site in different weightings. These are the ones that are the most popular based on the algorithmic results of what's happening, and these are the ones we put in. We change the category on the top page every 2 weeks just to try to keep it fresh. We have a whole bunch of categories with subcategories underneath them to help our users find what they're looking for. I dipped into sales. You can search for anything you want. If you come in here, we actually, beyond applications, we also allow you to search for system integrators or service providers. It's not behaving right now, but so you get a real sense of how it looks. Sorry, it doesn't like me. So AppExchange is built on the platform. So I was one of the first people to really build on Force.com hardcore. A little unknown secret, all of our applications are built on the platform. The application that we built the platform while we were building our apps, and then we turned our focus to the platform and finished it up. But the AppExchange is built on the platform. And I mean, the platform can do a lot of cool stuff. Like, here's my favorite. As far as building for mobile, I redesigned the whole site last year. My mouse doesn't like me. And the mandate was to make it work on a mobile device. So we built it with responsive web design on the platform. So now I'm an iPad, and now I'm on phone, right? And that's all on Salesforce. Like you don't have to know anything other than how to code, then be able to take advantage of that stuff. That's the nice part of our platform. There's a lot of stuff built in there that you just get. And to that notion on the connected apps and having a social aspect, you can if you build on our platform, you can turn social on by just clicking a button, because our entire Chatter social platform will come into your application. Now, if you want it to be customized to particular objects that are relevant to your application, you have to do a little bit of coding. But if you just want a social feed in the application, you can turn that on with the click of a button. There's just a lot you get that you don't have to think about by leveraging what we have. And the price is not ridiculous based on what a lot of other big companies charge their ISVs, at least from all the research I've done. Tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah. PNR, 15 to 25%, like the rev share.
All right, but you don't have to put out like 10 grand to get it.
No. Free. Go, free. Yeah, no, you can go get a developer account today and start playing around with it. It's free.
I think Apple's $100. You can't even get involved unless you dole out $100 up front to get some sort of a
Well, Apple's a very mysterious company. They do a lot of things that I don't. I mean, luckily I have friends that run their app store, so I actually know how it works. But apparently, I'll be killed if I ever tell anyone. But yeah, no. We want people to use it. You know, even if you don't commercialize what you're doing, we want people to get a sense of it. You can go to our developer website and get a free. We call it a DE org, Developer Edition org, and just start playing around. You know, tonight, no problem. You just got to sign up. Or whenever. You're probably going out and playing with that Dolly Parton slot machine tonight. I made $40 on that last night. That was a good time. Yes?
Could you say a word or two about the nature of the platform? Is it TCP/IP calls, or are you writing in some language? In other words, what is the platform?
Sure. So the platform is a lot of things. We do have our own languages. So we have a language called Apex, and we have a language called VisualForce. Apex is more the hardcore coding, and VisualForce is more the UI layer. You know, but we are very much of the opinion that everything needs to be API first in the platform, and that's been a big push for us right now. So you can write in Java on our platform. We also have a whole nother, I don't know if you guys know what Heroku is. Heroku's another, we bought that company about 1.5 years ago. That's a whole nother platform where you can code in Ruby. It's fairly flexible. Now, if you really wanted to dig into our platform, you probably would want to learn Apex and get a little bit more familiar with our kind of custom languages. But our objective is to make it as easy as possible for you to do it in whatever language makes sense to you and whatever you're trying to do. If you want to go deeper technically, you have to talk to someone else, because that's about the extent of how deep I go. But I can hook you up with someone. Yes?
So what type of technical support does SalesForce help the ISVs with?
Sure. So the way it works is you have an account executive that's yours, right? And they're basically the same way we would have an account executive for our customer. We have an account executive for ISV. We have a technical resource that is attached to that account executive that's available to ask. You know, we're not going to answer every single question, right? We have a whole, if you go to, let me just go there. Sorry. If you go to our developer, one of the nice things about our company is we have pretty crazy communities and pretty zealous communities. So this is our developer website. There's a pretty wild community of people here that you can ask a question, you will likely get an answer fairly quickly. So there's a lot of self-service in this scenario, but if you come in and you want to formalize into the program, and I would suggest you all go here and just look around, right? If nothing else, just to get a bit more familiar with it. But if you do formally enter the program, you have an account executive. You also have someone we call a technical evangelist that's attached to that account executive that does your initial architectural review. When you're building, if you come into a big snag and you can't get an answer anywhere, that person will engage and try to help you. We try to make it as easy as possible. Now, we have a large number of folks doing it, so it's not quite one-on-one, but we have that. And then we have normal support. So we have base level technical support, program support that runs out of my team, so you can get questions answered and whatnot. And then if you really want, you know, you want more, you want to be really connected, you can pay for a premium level of support.
What about once the app is developed and for the app users, do you help the ISVs?
No, that's your job.
That's up to the ISVs too.
Yeah, I mean, in the instance where it's not clear if the problem is you or us, we engage and we troubleshoot with you and make sure.
For the app users, so they can call.
Yeah, I mean, we prefer it for the app user to call you and then you to call us, because it gets real crazy. And oftentimes they're already our customer, then it becomes very complicated. So our general stance on this is the ISV is responsible for their own support unless you think it's us, and then we'll engage. Yeah.
How do you weed out the hello world people from taking up your time?
It gets weeded out pretty quick. Because, you know, we have a lot of people that come in and are interested in, everyone gets a call. That's just a mantra of our company. It's been, you know, when I was looking at going to Salesforce as an employee, I signed up for a free trial to see what the solution looked like. And within 20 minutes, someone called me and asked me what I was trying to buy. And I was like, no, just thinking about working there. So we have a mantra of being fairly responsive. So you get a call, but in those calls, it's pretty easy to figure out if people are serious or not. And if they're not serious, we'll just kind of tell them, hey, you know, get back to us when you are. So there's some human touch in that scenario. We think it works better that way. And, you know, honestly, there are some people that get through or that are not They typically don't make it all the way through because of our technical checks, but some people get through and then they're just weeded out by nature of the fact that no one uses them. Our customers are pretty, they don't take much crap. So if they don't like it, they won't use it, and then it just kind of falls to the bottom and no one really knows. We did do an interesting analysis. When the App Store hit their 5-year anniversary, I don't know, it was like a month ago or something, someone wrote an article about zombie rate, which is basically dead apps on the App Store, and it was just a crazy number of dead apps on the App Store. So I, of course, read this article and then called my team and said, what's our zombie rate? Because I want to make sure. And what we found was that our in the last 90 days, over 92% of the apps on the AppExchange have been touched and played with. So they're looking, they're playing around. They're out there testing things, playing with things, looking at things. And we seed it for our customers too, because sometimes, although cloud computing is pretty much, I think most people are getting over their initial fears of it, we do have some folks that still are a bit wonky about it. So we have a number of free apps up there that really just help people better use Salesforce, like an adoption dashboard, for example. So I bought Salesforce, I did this big investment, who's using it, how's it being used inside my organization? You go to the AppExchange, download this dashboard, and you have a real sense of it. Those things have made it a lot easier for customers to get comfortable doing this. And once they do, they go hog wild. There's one guy that has over 1,300 apps installed in his sandbox, which is crazy. But he's like, I just like to see what people are doing and figure out if I can use it in some way. He works at a large company. He's their admin.
You said it's called zombie?
That's the zombie rate. The zombie rate, yeah, the dead apps, basically. Yeah, I hadn't either. And I was very happy that my number was so high, or else I probably wouldn't be talking about it right now either. But yeah.
The API, is there a link for that?
API?
For Apex.
Yeah, you can. I mean, get in here and you can look. It's all in here. I mean, you can just look around and see where it is. The first thing, if you're really serious about playing around, you should join the developer community. You come here. And once you do this and fill out this form, I'm sorry, this is a bit slow, you will get access to one of our development environment, like an org environment. We call them orgs, but basically a dev environment. And once you're in there, all the API stuff, the way everything works, it's all inside the setup, and you can get a sense of how it goes down. And this is free. If you're just interested in learning more, it's not a bad thing to do on the plane or whatever. Any other questions? I hope this was helpful. I think what you guys are doing is great. I wish I had the guts to be an entrepreneur. I don't. I'm too risk averse, but I spend a lot of time working with them, and I'm always interested to see what people are cooking up, as well as our customers. So please don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions or if anything pops up. Happy to chat with you all about it. All right. Good. Thanks.